white bear. Pointing to the center of his face, he replied, "You aim for the nose." Books are like ships, and I wouldn't have much of a chance of avoiding the icebergs if not for all the following. My marvelous agent, Gail Sailing Master Hawkman, and her right hand, Marianne Master-at-Arms Marola, are steady at the wheel. Bringing out the big caliber at Viking Penguin would be Brian Bosun Tart and Jen Able Sea Person Houghton. Woolmanning the helm would be Sarah Navigator Delosier and the ever-faithful Magdalena Deck Cadet Dinez, Jonathan Swabby Lay, and Michael Euler Brown. To the west with a sharp eye is Christine Quartermaster Choi, and below decks is Alex Cookie Cruz Jimenez and Molly Gunner Fessenden. As always, keeping things shipshape are Eric, Chief Engineer Wechter, and Francesca Sparky Drago. And last, but certainly not least, is the North Star of celestial bodies, and the light touch that steers me through life's reefs, no matter how storm-swept the seas, Judy Captain Johnson. From In Memoriam A.H.H. by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Who trusted God was love indeed, and love creation's final law, though nature, red in tooth and claw, with ravine shrieked against his creed. From Bear Attack Proverb. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, say good night. Chapter 1. What was that? Henry Standing Bear looked at me and smiled. My move. I glanced down at the weathered chess set between us as Lucian Connolly stood on the patio of room 32, turning the 3 T-bones on the outlaw grill he wasn't supposed to have in the Durant home for assisted living. Stretching his back with a hand at its small, the old sheriff took a deep breath and blew out a lungful into the frigid night and announced, "It's a beautiful evening out, and I'm thinking we should dine on the veranda." He was framed perfectly in the twinkling Christmas lights that surrounded the patio doors, even though it was New Year's Eve and freezing. "It's 12 degrees outside, Lucian." Dog, sitting on the sofa he wasn't supposed to be on, watched him stomp off into the cold, which was nothing new in that he watched everything Lucian did concerning raw meat. New Year's Eve notwithstanding, Tuesday nights were chess nights at the old folks' home, as Lucian referred to it, but sometimes our gracious host had other duties and left the board to us lesser masters. I'd used the Birds opening, 1 F4, but the bear hadn't responded with the usual setup with B3 and bishop B2, and had instead fanchettoed his king's bishop for a flagrant D5. "You're going to lose your bishop," I said. "Perhaps." My eyes went from the old sheriff and back to the board to study the Cheyenne Nation's move. "Pretty aggressive opening." "Yes." Lucian limped back in and eyed the board with me, taking a stance that relieved the pressure on his prosthetic leg as he slipped off his insulated ranch coat and puffed on his pipe. Something else he wasn't supposed to be doing inside the facility. "The polar bear system." "The what?" He nodded his chin toward the board and tossed the coat onto the sofa beside Dog. "It's a mirror image of the Leningrad Dutch defense." Reaching over the table, he picked up the bottle of Pappy Van Winkle's Family Reserve 23-year-old and poured himself another dram. "Risky stuff. Most you can hope for a lot of times is a draw." The Cheyenne Nation's face remained unreadable. "Sometimes a draw is a victory, especially when dealing with polar bears." Connolly snorted, then sipped his bourbon. "And what the hell do you know about polar bears, ladies wear?" Henry's dark eyes met mine before responding. "Actually, quite a bit." "You know, there are times when I think, and I say this with the greatest respect, that you're full of shit." He stared at the bear for a moment and then freshened both our tumblers. "When were you ever that far north?" The bear pointed his lips toward me.